Welcome back to another episode of BluffCityGrub. Today we're going to show you how to cook the best Memphis-style pulled pork in your backyard.
We're going to be doing the Memphis-style pulled pork in 6 easy steps. This is Greg.
And that's Joe.
Welcome back to another episode of BluffCityGrub.
A lot of people get really intimidated by pulled pork because you end up with this big hunking piece of meat and they don't know what to do with it.
If you pull the pork too early, it's tough. If you pull it too late, it's dry.
And they don't know what to put on it. A lot of times it ends up under seasoned.
When you're cooking such a large piece of meat, it's often easy to over smoke it and give it that bitter flavor. Right, if you see something you like today or you learn something new, be sure to follow, like, and subscribe. All right, the first easy step to Memphis style barbecue is going to be just to trim off the excess fat. And when we talk about the excess fat, we're really talking about the fat cap on the bottom and any large chunks of fat like so. We're just going to take it and sit it to the side. We don't have to get all the fat, but we want to get any large chunks. Anything that might give us something undesirable at the end. One of the benefits to removing the big sections of fat is when you're done cooking, you can actually just serve the meat directly. You don't have to pick through and pull off any of the fat. Alright, we've got most of the fat cap removed. You can see how much fat we've removed. And we're not trying to get everything, but just the big chunks out of the way. We're going to go ahead and address the other side here, and it's looking pretty good. We got a little down here we're going to take off. Alright, once we get all the sections of fat off we want, we're ready to go ahead and inject this shoulder. Alright, we've completed our first step to good barbecue, and that was to trim all the excess fat off. Now the second step we're going to do is inject. We're going to inject both butts with Butcher's barbecue pork injection. Just going to keep it simple and easy. We could have made one, but this is just as good as any. The correct way to inject the butt is going to be with this Butcher's. We're going to put about half of the bottle in each butt here. And what we want to do is just do a grid pattern. Maybe every inch where we can get in. This grid pattern is just going to give us a good even distribution of injection. Sometimes it helps after you inject to put your finger over the hole and keep most of the injection in. Alright. Flip the button, we'll do the same thing. At least one full injection for this side. And again, we just want to go in that grid pattern and make sure we get it evenly spaced out.
Alright, so we just got done with step 2, which was injection. Now we're moving on to step 3. We're going to get the butts rubbed up. So we're going to use some regular yellow mustard as a binder. We're just going to give a thin layer on both of them. You're going to rub that in really good. And that's going to help the rub stick to the shoulder really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a light layer of rub on both sides of the shoulders. We don't want to go too heavy because we're going to kind of build the flavor as we go. ahead and flip this over and get the other side. Alright, we're finishing up with the rub here. Make sure you just pat it in just a little bit. You don't really want to rub the rub in, just pat it in. It's already starting to disintegrate here a little bit, melt into the meat. You go ahead and get these guys in the tray and take them outside.
Alright, we finished our first 3 steps of the process, which step 1 was to trim all the excess fat. Step 2, inject. Step 3, add more rub, or add rub. Now that we've got it done, we're gonna let these rest to come up to room temperature for about an hour. Alright, one of the great things about cooking pork butts is they're very forgiving. You hear a lot about cooking 225 or 235 or 245. All we really care about is anywhere between 225 and 250. We're going to try to run around 235, 240 today, which is what we got. And if we drift up or down, no big issues. We're going to go ahead and get these on. All right, it's been about 2 hours. We're going to be cooking for a total of about 8 hours for these pork butts. But one thing we're going to do every 2 hours, we're going to go ahead and spritz it. We got a little apple juice. We bought a cup of apple juice and about 3/4 cup red wine vinegar. And we're just going to go ahead and just wet them up a little bit. And if you guys haven't noticed at Bluff City, we're always adding a little more rub and a little more flavor as we go. So we're just going to get a nice little, just a little more seasoning on them. Alright, we'll let them go for another 2 hours. Alright, we're going to be taking our butts off and placing them in an aluminum pan and wrapping them. But one tip for handling hot meat is get you some nice cotton gloves and put you some rubber over them. That way you better grab it without burning your hands. We've been cooking about 4 hours. We're going to go ahead and do our spritz and rub again. You can see this rub is really starting to stick. We can't get any smears out of it. So. So again, we're just going to build a little more of that flavor, a little more bark on here. A little more rub. Alright, and then for the 4th tip we're going to give you today, what we're going to do is actually going to take these butts, place them in a full pan and wrap them in aluminum foil for the last half of the cook. So those things are looking good. All right, we're gonna let these guys go. Probably for another 4 hours or so until they're done. All right, so we cooked for about 4 hours, and then at hour 4 we wrapped. We've cooked for about another 3.5 hours. One of the things we did after 6 hours, go ahead and probe it. And the 5th tip we're gonna give you today is, we wanna go ahead and cook to where somewhere between 190 and 195. We got one butt at 190 and one at 196. So they're ready to pull. So the 5th tip was temperature. We wanna pull at 190 to 195. Probably the 6th tip and the best tip I'm going to give you today is once you pull this shoulder, is to go ahead and we're going to let the shoulders rest for up to 2 hours in a cooler. Letting it rest in the cooler is going to let the juice redistribute and let the butt even out in temperature all the way through. All right, our shoulders have been resting probably for about 2 hours now. We're gonna take them out and see how they look. All right, let's see what we got. Oh, looking good. I like how the meat's pulling back from the bone there. It's not quite falling out. That's what we're looking for. All right. To finish these guys off, we're going to put a little glaze on them. It's not necessary. If you want to eat them like they are, that'd be just fine. And for you, Greg, we're going to add a little layers of flavor, just a little more seasoning.
That's how you do it right there, man.
Right. Hit it one more time with our Spritz. And you can use your favorite barbecue sauce here. You're not tied to anything specific. If you like something sweet, get you something sweet, like something with a little heat in it. A little heat. Greg and I both like a little sweet heat, so that's what we got here. Spread it out. All right, again, it's like we usually talk about, we don't want to rub the seasoning off, just kind of spread it out a little bit. All right, once we get them sauced up good, we'll just put them back on the grill. And again, we're using that trick. We got our cloth gloves under our rubber gloves so we don't burn our hands. We're just gonna let the glaze set up real nice. They're looking good. All right, we've got the glaze set for about 30 minutes. These things are looking real good.
Oh, that's some good Memphis barbecue right there. BluffCityGrub, baby.
Right, that's what we're looking for in Memphis barbecue, is that nice dark mahogany color, Greg, right here that we got. This has got a little extra sauce on it, so it's not quite as dark. Now again, we pulled these around 190, 195, let them rest in the cooler for about 2 hours. They came up to around 199, and then they started to cool off. So first thing we're gonna do is just make sure this bone pops out. And then what we're looking for close is some moisture on here. That lets us know that we did it right, as long as we got some moisture on the bone. All right, we're only gonna pull one right now. Normally you might wanna cut your shoulder or your butt, you might wanna chop it. But we do pulled pork here, and if everything's right, this thing should just pull apart with our hands. We shouldn't need a fork to tear it apart, we shouldn't need a knife. That's what we're looking for here. It looks like we got this thing cooked just right. You can also see you got plenty of moisture on your meat. It's not dried out a bit. You can also tell from some of these pieces we got that nice smoke ring we look for. Remember earlier we cut all that fat off, so now since the fat's already removed, there's no need to pull any fat out of this. Most of it's already melted on in.
If there's some recipe y'all like to see, put it in the comment section below and we'll see if we can cook it for you. If you like what you see here today, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll have some more great content coming out to you soon.